Happy New Year, and thank God it is 2020. I kind of had a rough time in 2019, and I'm just super stoked for this year. It's going to be great for me, it's going to be great for you, and it's going to be great for this earth we live on. I'm just feeling it. I'm just feeling this year. I'm feeling it big time. So don't worry, Boeuf Bourguignon is gonna be next, and I have a very special announcement. We are gonna be having a celebrity guest on this show. That's right, for Boeuf Bourguignon, so stay tuned for that. So today is my first collaboration video with one of my favorite cooking channels, Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons, and we're going to be making his very classic, very English, looks absolutely gorgeous bread and butter pudding. Not to be confused with bread pudding, this is different, and it is absolutely insanely incredible. So Uncle Matt has been cooking in England professionally since the early 90s, and now he is dedicating his time to YouTube. And anytime you can learn from a professional chef who's really walked the walk for that long, that is a channel that is going to be so packed with value for you. And I know from looking through all of his recipes, like, it is legit, man. It is really, really good stuff. You know, English cooking is close to my heart from the time that I've spent in England, and it's just such beautiful, comforting food done with amazing technique, so definitely go check him out. I'm gonna put a link to his channel right now up in the corner, and I'll also put it in the description underneath this video. All right, let's begin. So I've just got some plain white bread here. That's all you need, nothing fancy. And we're gonna start by trimming off the crust with that scary ass Tojiro bread knife. And there's our trimmed white bread. Now I've just got some soft unsalted butter here, so we're gonna butter our bread. And we're just gonna do one side. Like Uncle Matt said, you could do both, but it's gonna get messy and it's not really necessary. So just one side and set it aside. Now we'll take some more of our butter and just brush whatever baking tray you're using. I would say as tall as mine is the least amount of space you could get away with. So that's like 2 inches tall. So you want to have it at least that big, but preferably something a little bigger. But I'm trying it in this. So now we are going to start building our egg mixture for our bread and butter pudding. Just crack your eggs into the bowl. Careful not to get any shells. So we're using whole eggs for this base, and then we'll be using egg yolks to make our custard. That is going to be the finish for this dish. So now I'm adding my milk to a little saucepan. We just want to warm this up so we can temper it into the eggs. And our heavy cream or double cream is going in, depending on where you are. So the recipe for this will be in the description underneath this video, and I'm gonna do it the American way, and I'll also do it the normal way. So I'm using whole vanilla bean pods for this. You know, these are the pricier option, but you could use vanilla paste or even extract if you don't have these. But if you do have these, we need to start by splitting this pod. So I'm just holding it open, and I'm taking the tip of my knife and just putting the tip of my knife through the middle of this thing and just pulling down the board, right? So we ideally want to do this in one go. Nice, worked out. So now we have a split pod, and if you can see in there, I love the way these look. It's like caviar. This amazing aroma. There's nothing like it, right? Madagascar, vanilla beans. Now, taking the smallest spoon you have, I'm gonna take a half of this, lay it on the board. I'm gonna stick this tiny little spoon, as you can see here, into it, and I'm just gonna drag all the way down, and it's gonna pull out all these seeds very efficiently. And so right here is what we end up with, and it's not much, but it's packed full of flavor. So we're gonna add this to our cream and milk mixture right now. So I've just added that into the milk and cream. I'm gonna throw in the pods that I stripped, because as this cream and milk warms, as this cream and milk warms up, it's gonna extract more flavor out of those pods. Just give that a little gentle whisk. So careful as you're heating this up. You do not want to overheat it, because this will boil over very easily. Like I said, we are just warming it up. Okay, now we're gonna add our sugar into our eggs. Just whisk that in. And so now our cream, our milk, and our vanilla is going in, but we're going to do this little by little. So obviously this mixture is hot, and if we pour it in at once, you're going to cook your eggs. This is not a breakfast dish, it is in fact dessert. So just go slowly. And once you have about half of it in, you can start pouring it quicker, because these temperatures are now balancing. It's what tempering is. Just make sure not to get those pods in there. And there we go. A lot of my vanilla beans kind of stuck to that saucepan. It would be a shame, absolute shame, to waste those little bits, so get in there if you need to and scrape them out. Okay, now we're going to actually start building our bread and butter pudding. So I have some raisins here that I just soaked in warm water for half an hour, so they're not so hard, but you know, ideally you would use sultanas for this and do the same thing, but I just couldn't find any, but raisins will do. So we're going to put these on the bottom layer. You know, if you really love raisins, put more. I'm not crazy about raisins, but I love them in bread and butter pudding, so I'm going to do a decent amount. And then we're going to start 4 layers of bread here. You know, with your bread, you're just going to see how it fits into your specific baking dish. Like I had to do one this way and the other another way, as you can see. But once the egg mixture goes on this and it soaks in and it bakes, it really just turns into one delicious, goopy, heavenly mess anyway, so it's not a big deal. Another layer of raisins. Now, something else Matt mentioned, if you wanted to soak these raisins in rum or some kind of liqueur, you could do that too. Matt, can you tell that my wife loves raisins? Next layer of bread. Okay, so now with our warm mixture, I'm going to start pouring it over the top, and I'm kind of just taking my time here to make sure I get it over all the bread, because as this is happening, the bread's going to start soaking it up and sort of falling down into itself. Now for Matt's instructions, we're going to let this sit for about 20 minutes so all that bread can kind of absorb all that amazing vanilla custard liquid before baking. So a couple things to note here. I'm a little rusty on my bread and butter pudding. This is going to work absolutely fine, but if I were you, when I make this, go for a square dish about this size. You're going to get a bread pudding that's a little taller, and the custard base is going to run over the top a little bit, as it should. Like mine is just a tiny bit dry, but it's definitely going to work out. You're going to make this recipe exactly as it's listed in the description. Use a square. Also, if you want to add a spice to your egg mix before putting it in, like fresh ground nutmeg, cinnamon, allspice, whatever, you can try that too. I wanted to try mine plain first, but if you want to spice it up, spice it up. Now, one last thing before this goes into the oven. We're going to sprinkle the top with some more sugar, because I noticed a big part of Matt's recipe that I got really excited about was the ending, in which you'll see we're going to brush this with apricot jam and then powdered sugar, and then we're going to blowtorch it to give it a little texture on top. So that's good, just a tablespoon or 2 on top. Now we're going straight into a 350-degree oven, or like 160 Celsius roughly, for 30 minutes. Right, so now we are going to be making our custard, or creme anglaise. So I separate 6 eggs, just the yolks, into a bowl. I like using my hands when I do this. I don't really like using the egg shell. Sugar. Just give that a good whisk. Like Matt says in his video, we don't need to make this in any kind of ribbon stage, just a good mix. So I've just got a little pot on over low heat. We're adding equal parts cream and milk. Now I'm adding the other vanilla bean pod I had reserved for this. So again, we're not gonna boil this over. We're just gonna make it hot, almost hot, sort of between warm and hot. Pour it over the eggs, temper it into the eggs, put it back into this saucepan where we'll thicken it up for the final dish. Okay, my cream mixture is hot. We're gonna start adding this in very little by little. Again, this is a tempering thing, so you have to do this, otherwise you're gonna make scrambled eggs. Again, once you get about halfway through, you can start doing more, no problem. And so now we're gonna hold our custard like this until we're ready to finish the dish, in which case we'll put it back into the saucepan and thicken it up for a warm custard. Right, so this has just come out of the oven after 30 minutes. You know, as I said, it needed a little more custard on top, but when I'm poking it, I can still feel how gooey it is in the middle, and that's what we want. So now we're gonna brush it with apricot jam and return it to the oven. And what I did with this is just warm it in a saucepan so it can actually spread on here without making a total mess. You know, go as heavy or as light as you want. I love apricot, and I'm really excited about trying it on top of this bread pudding, so I'm gonna be pretty generous with mine. Once again, back into the oven for 10 minutes. We're gonna let that glaze kind of do its thing. Now we've got our custard going here over a very low flame. And so this is one thing, don't go watch the new South Park episode, don't send an email, don't text your aunt, because you can't walk away from this. You have to stand by it and be constantly moving it. That's why these are good, because you scrape along the bottom and it will never stick. So Matt and I agree on that. And so I'll tell you how long this takes when it's done, and I'll show you how to test it as well, but you cannot move away. Low heat and just keep moving. So something to note about this is I'm planning to serve all of this right now, so I'm finishing all my custard. But when we just made that base, before returning it to the saucepan, you could hold that in your fridge and you could just take out either individual or 2 portions or 3 or whatever and thicken it up to order for your bread and butter pudding. So you don't need to do it all, but I am right now. Also, I'm going to throw these vanilla pods back in. I can just pull them out. And you trust me, there is a lot of vanilla left on those little pods, so it's never throw away vanilla pods is what I'm saying. You can make all sorts of, you can make your own extract out of those. There's so many things you can do with them, but just don't throw them away. Making custard or creme anglaise or anything like that is a patience test. If you don't like meditating, try this. That way when you're done meditating, you have custard. It's really starting to thicken up now, but we are not quite there. And we're coming to those final stages of thickening. And we can tell by placing a spoon in, running our finger down the middle, and we see that that line holds. But I'm going to take this a little further because I want it to thicken up just a tiny bit more, and then we're good to go. Okay, custard is off. Set that away from the burner. Okay, so this has just come out of the oven. It's been in there for 10 minutes with that apricot glaze or jam on top. So now we're gonna dust this whole thing with powdered sugar and blowtorch it. So powdered sugar just in a little sieve. And I'm just gonna spread it evenly over the top. So we're gonna get an amazing kind of textural balance going on here with that gooey middle and the crunchy top. Now we have this little texture on top, which is just beautiful. So I'm gonna cut this up, serve it up with some of that custard, and let's see how it is. I know it's gonna be amazing. So I've got my custard in this beautiful little jug. First things first, place that in the top right-hand corner, move it all the way around and back to its original position. This way we won't die. Wow. Oh, this looks gorgeous. Now our custard. Just around, maybe a little over, like Uncle Matt says. And there is our bread and butter pudding. All right, so this is very exciting, and it looks so beautiful with the apricot on top, the burnt sugar against that yellow custard. Amazing. Really soft. Oh my God. You guys know the movie Ratatouille, when the food critic tastes the ratatouille at the end of the movie and he has a flashback into his childhood and he feels all the love, and that's what's happening with me right now with this bread and butter pudding. Matt, I can't believe I forgot about this for so long because it really is something so, so special and so delicious. Oh my God. Mmm. Wow, God damn, it's good, really. Well, my friend, that does it for this collaboration video. Please go subscribe to Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons channel because it is amazing. This is just one of the many treasures that you'll find there. Again, there's a link to his channel in the description underneath this video, so definitely check him out. I'm wishing you a very happy new year. Look forward to that celebrity guest that's coming on the show. As always, if you like the video, do not forget to leave it a like. Comments are great for my channel, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.